It's going to be easy to find a prediction of Bitcoin going to $1 million. And you may even see lots of predictions for Bitcoin going to $5 million. And you're going to start seeing all of these numbers. They're going to seem so crazy. They're going to seem so astronomical, but you're going to start to believe it because you're going to hear it again and again and again. In today's video, I'm not going to feed you some information that you want me to say. Instead, I love the charts. I love Bitcoin. I hope Bitcoin goes to $1 trillion, but I'm also realistic. And I want to base everything on math, and I want to base everything on facts. And instead of giving you some crazy, emotionally driven opinion that will get more clicks and views of Bitcoin going to 5 million or whatever crazy prediction I can pull out of my hat, I want to instead look at what's realistic. Because you may have looked around all over the internet trying to really understand how high this thing can go. And you came to the right place, because I'm going to give zero emotional opinions. And everything I say in this video will be 100% factual and based on math. Now, if you're like me, you can't argue with math. So let's get into some math and look at what is actually possible. Let's set the stage, because I'm going to give you two scenarios. One of them is going to be really bad, and the other one is going to be really good. And it's going to depend on one factual piece of evidence in the chart. And if Bitcoin does this one factual thing, we're going to get that really good one. And if it does this one factual bad thing, we're going to be in trouble. And I want to tell you how high it could possibly go if that good thing happens. But we're not going to guess. We're not going to pull a number out of thin air. It's all going to be based on math and facts. So let's get into it. Welcome. I'm Steve. Here we deliver honest, sponsorship-free TA with genuine value. Subscribe for a no BS approach that actually helps you. Subscribe. So here we are, Bitcoin US dollar index, and today we're on the monthly chart. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is we've got every single cycle lined up beautifully on the chart in front of you, and we've color coded it to make it really simple and really clear. And we didn't color code it with something that we just pulled out of thin air. It's actually the Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so what you can do is you can go over to your tools and click on Fib retracement. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to go to the all-time high of the last cycle. You're going to click on that bad boy once. You're going to drag it to the market cycle bottom, and you're going to click. And it's going to come up like this. It's going to project out where we could potentially go to. And when you have your style set up like this, you're going to be just fine, and it'll be set up exactly like this. And then you just do the same thing again. You click on the fib, you click on that all-time high, you click and drag it to the bottom here, and you click again, and then voila. What it does is it looks at what is the probability of us going to a certain area of the chart. Now, these Fibonacci levels act as key levels of resistance at market cycle tops. You can see right away in 2013, we went exactly to this yellow line. You can also see when we went exactly to the blue line, we were somehow magically met with resistance. Then the next cycle, 2017, you can see that we went all the way up to this yellow line. We didn't magically go way above or way below. We went exactly to it, just like we did in 13. We didn't go way above or way below. We went exactly to the yellow line, right? And in 2017, when we went to this blue line, we were also met with heavy resistance, just like we were met with the resistance at this red line and at the blue line and at the green line. Every single line of this Fibonacci is based purely on math and nothing else. Okay, it looks at human behavior and looks at data and analyzes this data, and it lays it out into this manner where we can throw it on the chart, and then we're like, okay, now I can see where we are at right now in this crypto rally, and I can see exactly what we did before. In 2021 was a little bit different. 2021 was the first time that we didn't make it to this yellow line. In fact, we stopped at the blue line. You can see that we stopped at the blue line. You can see it wasn't like we went way over to the blue line and we sort of stopped in the middle of the blue and the yellow. We stopped exactly at the blue line, just like we stopped exactly at the line in 2017 and we stopped exactly at the line in 2013. This is a huge huge competitive advantage. No hype, just facts. Subscribe and relax. What I want you to do is share this video with everyone who's in crypto, because everyone deserves to know what is factual evidence and what is actually realistic versus what is pipe dreams. I love Bitcoin. I've been in Bitcoin a long time, and there's nothing more that I would like to see than $1 million Bitcoin. But in this video, I want to talk about, is $1 million Bitcoin on the table, and how realistic is it? Because I think you're going to start to see more and more $1 million Bitcoin projections, and I just want to set the standard and set the table for what is actually in the cards based on math and data and nothing else, not on hope or anything else. So when you look at 21, precisely to the 1.618, the blue line, as suggested here, is the 1.618, okay? That's that blue line that gave us trouble here and the blue line that gave us trouble in 13. It's always the 1.618. Now, when we look at 2025, you can see where we're at right now. We're in this area of limbo. We haven't yet reached the blue line, and we don't know if we're going to reach the blue line. And of course, because we haven't reached the blue, we haven't even come close to the yellow. And we want to understand, like, what is possible here. If we actually exploded up to that yellow line, which we didn't do last cycle, but if we did it this cycle, what does that actually put the price at? Like, how high is that? Is that $1 million Bitcoin, or is that like way below, right? In other words, in Bitcoin's entire history, it was the most bullish in the beginning. That's not up for debate. This is just pure facts. And it's simply because of the maturity of the market. You may hear a lot of different stuff online, but it's just not true. The market is maturing. A lot of people are like, when the market matures, it's more volatile and it goes up further. No. The opposite happens. When it's more mature, it's more slow. It's like an old grandpa, you know, can't get up the stairs so fast like he did before, you know. Hey, grandpa might fall down the stairs. That'll be fast, but he's definitely not going to run up the stairs. That'll never happen. Bitcoin's like that. It's getting older, more mature. These moves are more methodical. Early days, Bitcoin was running up the stairs. He was young. Now we're a little bit older. When you understand that, you can see how explosive these moves were early on, and we reached this yellow line. Keep in mind, even early on, when we were so explosive running up the stairs, we never got above the yellow line, even in the early days. Just look. This is not my opinion. These are facts. We never got above the yellow line. Are we all aligned with that, including you? You could look at the chart and you can say, okay, Steve's right. We didn't get above the yellow line. And we didn't get above the yellow line in 2017, which was the best cycle we've ever had in terms of a textbook cycle. And we still didn't get above the yellow line. So can we expect, when we didn't get above the yellow line in the early days when Bitcoin could easily run up the stairs, could we expect that we get above the yellow line now? That's what we want to discuss. How likely is it? In your opinion, just given the facts, not very likely, right? So what price is Bitcoin not likely to get above? Meaning, in the best case scenario, we could probably agree, just based on math and facts, that Bitcoin's best case scenario is that yellow line. Looking at the fact that best case, right? Our second best option is this blue line. Are we going to get to either, and what price are they currently at? It all comes down to one thing and one thing only. Bitcoin is going to have a test, and this is a test of structure, okay? There's one level and one level only that we cannot go below. Otherwise, this whole thing will be ruined for Bitcoin in this market cycle, not for any future market cycle. But 70K, this red line right here. This red line not just represents a whole bunch of months of resistance that we spent multiple months during 2024 as resistance to this level. It also represents the double top of our last market cycle. This 70K level will come into play for Bitcoin for probably the next 6 years. The next 6 years, we're going to be looking at 70K because it's going to come in and out of our storyline. Bitcoin is setting up for 70K to be incredibly important, okay? Just based on structure. Nothing alone. When you fast forward deep into the future, you're going to come back to this video and be like, oh, it's easy. When you look left and you look at structure, it's pretty obvious. 70K will be a very important level in Bitcoin's future. Now, it's important right now. If Bitcoin were to somehow have a fallout, and you start to see any type of reversal, there's one level to look at, 70K. If Bitcoin closes any body under 70K as resistance, this cycle is over. You just look at the facts. It's over structurally. You can't spend a whole bunch of months as resistance, then finally start to hold it as support for months and then break it. Any break of that, it would just be too hard for Bitcoin to be back above and confirm as support. However, if we were to hold 70 as support in any event where Bitcoin starts to seesaw and there's some turmoil, if we just simply close a monthly candle as support at 70K, it's likely that the next move would be to the blue line. And any time from now on where Bitcoin is holding 70K as support, that blue line is the only thing Bitcoin is looking at, because that's the next stopping point, according to all of the data on the chart. So what is that blue line at? That blue line is currently at 176,000. That's the blue line. In other words, if Bitcoin just treats 70K with respect, we should see that come next. Now, what's the best case scenario for Bitcoin? The best case scenario is that yellow line, okay? So to the question of $1 million Bitcoin, and again, you're gonna see this probably everywhere for the rest of 2025 with $1 million Bitcoin. So how likely is it? We've established already that the yellow line is our best case scenario, because in the early days, when we can easily run up the stairs, when we had the largest rallies by a mile, it's not even close mathematically, we only got to that yellow level. We never got above to whatever is after that. Never. We never did it in 2013 or 2017. I just want to show you where $1 million Bitcoin is, just so you can see. $1 million Bitcoin is up here, past the yellow level. So is $1 million Bitcoin likely in the cards for this cycle? It would be unlikely. In fact, we can classify it as highly unlikely, given the fact that all of the data that's out there currently on every single market cycle, even in the early days when we were the most bullish, we never got above the yellow line. So how could we assume that somehow when Bitcoin's older, it could barely run up the stairs, it's going to blow past there somehow and get to $1 million? I would deem $1 million Bitcoin in 2025 highly unlikely. That doesn't say it can never happen. In trading and investing, there are no certainties. The only certainty is that there are no certainties. We can say highly unlikely, facts, but we can't say 0% chance. Highly unlikely. Now, we said blue line, 176. We did talk about the yellow line being the best case scenario. So what does that put Bitcoin at? The best case scenario for Bitcoin, yellow line, currently at $541,000. What do you think is more likely, yellow line or blue line? Put your comments down below and we'll come back and we'll revisit this video. Trade like a tourist or go with the pros. The FFA is where the real ones go. Link in description.